Hey everyone, it's Dom. We're back again on the channel. This time we're breaking down the production behind The Line, which is my latest release. It's out everywhere: Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, anywhere you listen to music. I'll leave a link in the description. Before I hop into this video though, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also click the notification bell because there's going to be a lot of content coming soon. I'm really excited about it, and I want you to be too. Alright, so a little backstory before we jump into the video. I produced this song in November of 2019. I kind of sat on it for a little while. Worked on a bunch of other music with my friends, released some music, and then eventually made the decision to send it out for vocals and release it in October of 2020. So really excited about this song. It's one of my favorite songs that I've ever made. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so we've got the session pulled up. As you can see right here, the first song that I started out with, and I do this a lot, I'll start out with melodic elements. And so for this song, I opened up Omnisphere and pulled up this patch called Analog's Triumphant Return. I think, I left it on the default settings, a couple saw waves, some effects right here. I think these are the default settings. Sounded really cool. And I ended up playing these chords. So, right away that sound is really cool, but, the high end is a little too much for me. So what I did was I loaded up stock EQ right here and shelved off the highs. And I also shelved off the lows because I knew I was going to add a bass to this. And, I just didn't want this particular instrument to be competing that much with the bass, which we'll get to in a second. So here's what it sounds like with the EQ. So sounds great, nice and mid-rangey, not too much in the low end, and really warm, which is kind of what I was going for. So after working on that, I pulled up this bass sound. It to this day is my favorite, like Reese style bass sound. Made it myself, and so obviously I heard that sound. I was like, damn, that's fire. So here's the chords and the bass. Then I was like, let me add some EQ. It's still a little bright for me. So again, reach for the EQ, cut off some of this stuff, which I don't really think impacted the sound that much, or like the feeling that you get from the bass. And I cut off some of these highs as well. So the next thing that I added was this granular sort of, texture. It's like a texture element in Omnisphere. It's called Land of Eternal Youth. This is what it sounds like. Sounds kind of weird, right? I thought it'd be cool, especially in the higher registers, because this is what it sounds like. So I'm like, oh, this is like a great thing I can use to sort of accent. It kind of falls in a weird spot, but I throw it in every so often, so it's a nice accent. Here's what those three elements sound like together. Also, I threw an EQ on it because it's too bright. The song, it's kind of wavy, kind of mellow, so I didn't want a lot of bright elements, especially considering later down the line the vocals were sort of bright vocals, so it worked well together. So yeah, that's what that sounds like on its own. Here's what it sounds like in the context of the song. So after that, I was like, okay, cool. What else can I add to keep making this interesting? Keep the cool feelings going, keep myself inspired. So I like to throw effects in my beats. And productions, just like random effects in the background. And I absolutely love this one from Omnisphere yet again. It's called Gospel Worship 7, and it's literally just like random sermons. It's like a random sermon sound. And I was like, yo, that'd be perfect in the background of this. So I ended up just like making like a huge note, as you can see, just whole notes. But it sounds crazy. Right? And you're like, what the fuck is the point of that? But really the point of it is just to provide some extra texture. Again, I shaved off some of the highs because it helped contribute to the vibe. Remember, the vibe of this is very mellow, not too bright, at least of the production so far. So here's what all those 4 elements sound like. So yeah, those 4 elements are, or what was that 4? Yeah, those 4 elements are the major elements of the song. They don't really change much throughout the song. What does change is this bass. It's the same bass preset from earlier, but I just play it down an octave in the verse just to switch it up. So yeah, together all that is essentially the melodic bed of the song. There's a couple other elements that contribute to it, so we'll go over them right now. The first is this vocal chop that I found from Splice. So you know, I placed it every so often. It's sort of like a call and response type of situation that I ended up doing with the pad, and it really worked nicely. So here's what that sounds like in isolation. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Let me pitch it up using Alter Boy so that it's in tune with the song. Nothing really here, just pitched it up and then shifted the format. Right, and then the next thing I did, add some more EQ. Again, taking out the lows and then taking out some of the highs. Nothing crazy. Okay, then after that, I added a little reverb. 4.5 seconds fine haul. I think it's one of the presets in, if you go into like here, let's see, where's it at? Yeah, see, 4.5 seconds fine haul. I didn't have any pre-delay. Really, I don't even think I touched anything except for the wet-dry balance. Oh, and the output EQ, just to dial in that reverb. So here's what that sounds like together. It's got a beautiful, nice tail. Big fan of reverbs. So yeah, and then the last thing I did was put a pan man on it. I like panning shit. It's really fun. So yeah, here are the settings for the pan man. I just wanted it to move around a little bit and not stay static in the middle. So here's that's that vocal chop. And then there's another element called the mouth saxophone. So I'll take you through what I did for that. Basically, what I did is I sang into the mic like I was playing a saxophone. And it was really interesting. So we'll take you through. It sounds kind of weird. So I'll turn off all the processing. It's actually really hilarious. I'll turn off all the processing so you can hear what it sounds like raw, and then, you know, we'll get into the different effects I use and why I use them. So here's the raw mouth saxophone. So yeah, again, I was singing into the microphone just like a saxophone, you know, because I just wanted to add something really cool. I felt like this song needed a saxophone. I have a saxophone, but I think like at the time my roommates were here, and I didn't want to bother them with me playing the saxophone. So I came up with an alternative solution, which ended up sounding amazing. So first thing I did, obviously, add auto-tune. here are the settings for this. It's kind of robotic. Again, the whole idea of this was to emulate a saxophone, so I tried to make every effect, contribute to that vibe of a saxophone. So you got auto-tune, you got melodyne. Okay, you got melodyne. I used melodyne 4 back in the day, but I just upgraded to melodyne 5, so that's what happened. Yeah, I used melodyne just to dial in the tuning a bit more. Then this EQ, I don't think I did anything. Yeah, this EQ was probably there just to look at the frequency spectrum. I added a decapitator, so here's what it's sounding like so far. So yeah, you can start to hear how it's sounding like a saxophone. Pretty cool, right? And then we added a limiter just to, really get that volume up. And then added the last 2 effects, which I think really make it sound like a saxophone. The first is a reverb, again using that fine hall reverb. I added some pre-delay, and then I messed with the wet-dry balance. Let's see if I touch the EQ. Also touched the EQ, so I really wanted these like mids to stand out as opposed to the low end, because then it'd get a bit too muddy, and then the high end would be a little too harsh. So that's the reason why I EQ'd this reverb the way I did. So yeah, that's what that's sounding like. And then the last effect, which I think really does it, really just add some cool stuff to it, is this ping pong delay, quarter note ping pong delay, nothing crazy. Cut out the lows, cut out some of the highs, and it's on studio tape, which is like the default setting. So I think it just added a little more depth to it. So yeah, with all the melodic elements, this is what the melodics sound like. Once we were done with the melodics, I moved on to the drums. So the drums are very simple. I just got like drum sounds from the internet, like Splice or whatever, and you just played a drum pattern. So it's very simple. We've got a kick, a snare, 2 hi-hats, a delayed clap, and then an impact snare. So I'll play it all together just so you can hear what it sounds like. And then an important thing with the hi-hats is I didn't want them to be quantized. I wanted a loose sort of doubled feel. So you'll hear that. I'll try to play a section where both hats are playing. Let's see. This section right here, everything's playing. Just about, yeah. So you'll really hear that loose feel, and it's just know it's intentional. Yeah, so really a simple beat, not much going on, because I feel like there's a lot going on with like the movement and those different melodic elements. They're doing a lot, so this beat is just very simple. In terms of processing, just a little bit of EQ, just cutting off the very lows, again cutting off the highs, because it's all about being mellow. Like this, that's the moral of this song. Again, cutting out the lows and really just bringing out this part of the snare, because that's the part that I really liked. The hi-hats, again, rolling off those highs. Same exact thing for this hi-hat. And then for this clap, actually, again, we rolled off some of the highs, and then added this Echo Boy Junior on a quarter note, dotted quarter note ping pong. It was really cool. Sounds cool. So here's what that sounds like. It's really cool because it's kind of got that effect of moving left, and it's like auto panning by itself without even having to use an auto pan type plugin, just because of the ping pong. So that's really cool, and I just did that, you know, just to spice things up, because I didn't want it to be the simplest drum beat, but I wanted it to be simple enough to, you know, accentuate what was going on with the melodics. And then obviously this last element, the reverb snare, and this is actually what it sounded like before I added anything. It's just a sample off of Splice, I think. So obviously that's a little bit too harsh for me. So what do? I cut out the lows and cut out the highs, as you can see. This is what it sounds like. And that's way better. Then obviously we add some delay, or sorry, add some reverb. So I went here to large plates. It was 5.1 seconds new age plate, a little bit of pre-delay, messed with the wet dry a little bit, and then again cutting off the high end, because I really wanted this production to be mellow, and you know, it ended up benefiting me in the end when the vocals came through, because vocals are bright, and so it created a nice balance all around. So here is, let's see, yeah, so here's the whole beat actually. So yeah, that is the line. I really appreciate y'all if you've stuck through this far, sticking through my explanation of the video. I hope it helped you, hope it inspires you, and don't forget to stream the line. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'll leave links in the description so you can listen. It's out everywhere on all streaming platforms, and yeah, that's all I've got. The next video I will be going into a breakdown of the mixing, so how I treated all the vocals, the organization of my session, and all that good stuff. So thanks again for sticking around, and I'll catch you later.
You know I'm really feeling your vibe. You know I got my eyes on you, thinking what I wanna do to you. No, there ain't no use in fighting it. I'm thinking about crossing this line.